Welcome back to the channel. My name is Seth and today we're going to be trying to restore one of my old friends back to their former glory, and that old friend is my PlayStation 3. Now this won't be the first time I've dabbled beyond the seal of disapproval of Sony. The first time I was much younger, let's say around the age of 10, right? Now I'll tell you all about that in just a minute, but first let me just show you my old friend. Here she is. Dusty, rusty, crusty and musty, right? But I love her so I can't let her go. While I dismantle that, we're gonna have a little talk, right? And we're gonna discuss some history, right? And some things that you might be interested to know, and hopefully you can learn something by watching and listening. So I say this isn't my first time dabbling beyond the seal of disapproval of Sony, because when I was a little kid, right, we're gonna talk a little bit of my childhood, bringing up the past trauma. Here it all comes back, it's all coming back to me now, jokes, right? But the first time I think I messed with a PlayStation, right, beyond what you're supposed to do as a normal consumer, I was around the age of 10, right? Quick story, short story, as quick as I can make it. So the first time I ever dabbled beyond the seal of disapproval of Sony was as a kid, around the age of 10, maybe even a little bit younger, right? And it was with two PlayStation 1s. One was just completely kaput, and the other one had a problem with his laser. So I managed to pull off a laser transplant as a little kid, right? Which is incredible. I didn't even actually have tools to do this, right? I just took stuff apart, right? But that being said, the reason I did that as a kid, and it's a minor achievement when you think about it at the time, but as an adult you're like, wow, you're actually crazy for even trying that, right? And it actually worked, right? But the reason I had to do that is because I was a poor child, right? I never had access to these things. But luckily, before I get into my poverty story, I do have to acknowledge and say thank you to my friends, my cousin and my older brother, right? Cousins, let me add, right? Because without them, I would have never had the chance to experience the joys of playing games and consoles as a little kid, right? Because I was poor, right? My parents wasn't gonna buy that for me, and luckily my brother was a bit older, so he could kind of do what he wants when he would come around and let me use his consoles, right? Older cousins, the same thing. They were off on the road to do whatever they were just doing. They was like, I don't care about that PlayStation, I don't care about this Nintendo here, just play it if you want, right? Thanks to them and a few school friends, right? Which, shout out to you guys, I'm entirely indebted to you guys. You guys are G's for that, right? Obviously your parents had money, you didn't give a shit, right? But to me, it meant a lot, so thank you from the bottom of my heart, right? So all those experiences I had with consoles, for the most part, were by borrowing, right? The kindness of other people, because I couldn't afford one of my own, right? My parents had their own things going on where they couldn't really just sacrifice for a kid like me to have a computer in the house, right? So that's the only reason I actually dabbled with that PlayStation, right? I got it from my older sister's boyfriend, who also didn't care about his stuff, right? They were just two broken PlayStations, and I had the chance to fix it, right? But even then, when I fixed it, I didn't have access to any games, right? So I had to borrow some games of school friends to actually try it and see if it would work, right? So short story, that's to one side, right? I turned the thing upside down, right? And this fell off, right? So I forgot to put the screw back on it, didn't I? If I get this wrong, then no CD player. So with all that in mind, I just want to say to like any kids in the modern era right now, like if you're a little bit behind the curve on trend and things like that, don't feel bad, right? You're not alone, right? Lots and lots of us grew up feeling the same way as you did, right? And it's not a thing of keeping up with the Joneses. I know you feel like you're kind of like at a disadvantage of being able to communicate with your friends. Like everyone's watching the latest show, you can't watch the latest show. Everyone's playing the latest game, you can't play the latest game, right? I know how that feels. I 100% know how that feels, right? It's okay, it's totally fine, right? That's a reason why there's a second-hand market, right? And I know a lot of people frown on this, but hey, if you grew up poor, you know what time it is, right? Second-hand is as good as you're gonna get sometimes, right? And it'll be maybe 2 to 5 years after everyone's already thrown their toys away and they don't care about them anymore. It's like that, right? But it's okay, right? Even as an adult, there's a reason why there's a used car market, right? Because the value of things drop as soon as you purchase them, right? So you may not get to play on the launch day, and yeah, you may feel like you're missing out, but it's okay, right? Because usually, right, even as an adult, I can tell you now, when consoles first come out, the best games don't come out with them, right? It takes a while for the best games to get produced on those consoles and those platforms, and most of the people that get the console straight away, they get the buggy ones and all the issues, and then the companies get the feedback, then they get the newer version, the slimmer versions, right? So saying that, the first time I actually got my own brand new console, the first time ever, was around I want to say 2007, 2008, right? Might even have been a little bit later than that, right? But that was a PlayStation 2. Right, just think about that. But at that point, PlayStation 3 was already out, right? And there was various versions of PlayStation 2, right? Shout out to my dad. He knew because we was going to be moving from one estate to the other estate, I would be more of a loner than I already was, right? And I would need something to do, right? So, this is that console. You see? You see? Right? Time after everybody else already threw their PlayStations away and they were like, oh, this is boring now. We got PlayStation 3, we got Xbox 360. I just got a PlayStation 2, right? And I enjoyed every moment of it, right?
I broke the CD player.
So we've got a little bit of a problem. The CD player is getting stuck, right? The fan sounds like a dream, but the game is stuck inside of the CD player now. And I think that's because I dropped it one time.
For you kids out there upset about not having a PlayStation 5 or what have you, whatever gen's out now, don't worry. Enjoy the old classics, because eventually everyone's going to be rushing back to the retro and like reviving these consoles and then hiking the price up of everything. The same thing happened with SNES, the same thing happened with Nintendo, and it's going to happen with every preceding console, right? So don't worry, right? Get your hands on the old ones and enjoy them, right? Because I know it's an old man thing to say, old is still gold, right? Some of those old games that came out are still unbeatable, unmatchable now, right? There's not a lot of good ideas coming out. There's a lot of politics in the gaming industry, just like in any other industry, right? We want to sell stuff that works. So remember that. It's okay. So I know I've blabbed a lot, but hopefully on some other side screen, I'm showing you what I'm doing at the same time by fixing my PlayStation 3, right? But that being said, right, because I've always been in that kind of I don't want to say I'm 100% in poverty, because even being able to have access to something secondhand or borrowed is still a luxury, right? In some places, it's not possible. You got to think about places like Brazil, right? The game market in Brazil is mostly emulation, right? So it's still a luxury, right? So don't take your situation for granted. No matter how bad you have it, someone has it worse, right? So be appreciative of the people and the things you have, right? But that being said, I love Metal Gear Solid, right? And the reason I love Metal Gear Solid is because of that same childhood thing. I watched my older brothers and cousins playing it, and they finally let me have a go at it. And ever since then, I've been enamored by the game and the franchise and the game producer, which is Hideo Kojima, right? So I followed him, obviously, behind everyone else years after everything came out, right? But I've always followed this game series, right? And at a point, it became like a thing for me to like, it's like a nostalgia sign up, kind of like a nostalgic kind of sad boy thing that I do every year. Like it's seasonal depression and all kinds of other life stuff, right? But I will always go back to these old games around winter time, right? Around Christmas time. I'll pick up a Metal Gear Solid game and I'll play it again, right? And get that feeling. But through the years, I was just like a loner playing games, right? I played with friends as well, of course. Everyone played games with friends, like go to your friend's house, play a bit of Halo, play a bit of Tekken or whatever. But I've just always just played games, right? And I never really realized how far technology had progressed because I was just in my own little world, right? So I didn't really know how to stream games and stuff like that. So I wasn't able to actually show you guys my love of games properly.
We've got it back on, right? It's still running. It's running damn near silently, which is excellent. But we had a bunch of problems with the CD player, right? I finally got the CD out, which was, like I said, one of my favourite games of all time. Yeah, so now I'm going to risk it putting in a shitty game to see if it reads it. Alright, it's a moment or two. It took it. Ooh. Struggling. It's spinning. Ooh. So what I might actually have to do is do a factory. It's working. Haha! Fix it. Ah! Yes. All right. So I'm gonna put everything back together and we'll finish up the video. Fix it. Yeah. I probably should get. Yeah, I got too excited too quick. Follow and check the disc is clean and free of damage. Ooh, ooh. I got too excited too quick. Right. Well, look, it's doing something. It might be that disc though. I've never played that game, so. Ooh. So he just gave me a warning. It said the disc is dirty. Ah, man. All right. Use another Blu-ray disc. I just hope it don't take it this time. Don't steal my disc. Maybe the laser got dirty through all of that. Come on, baby, come on. Hey, we are good to go. Yes, it's done. It's done. Yes. It's just, this is just a broken game, basically. All right, so we're gonna put it back together, and now I'm happy. Yeah.
But saying that, because I love Metal Gear Solid so much, the first actual real YouTube video I made was a Metal Gear Solid documentary. I put it in the members because it's not the best quality and it's not like fully complete, but it was my first attempt at ever making a real YouTube video, right? So that being said, I want to be able to play Metal Gear Solid again this year for Christmas and experience that nostalgia and have my little sad boy moments, right? I know it's kind of sad. So I want to fix my PlayStation 3, right? Because when you switch it on, it sounds like a bloody helicopter and it feels like a furnace, right? So I'm assuming it's because it needs a good clean inside, and maybe if it's something worse than that, what I will have to do is take my hard drive out, which is kind of unnecessary, but maybe it's for the best because PlayStation Store is kind of dodgy now like the older consoles, right? So what I'll have to do if I break something is take the hard drive out and see if I can get a donor. I put my hard drive in, and then I'll have Metal Gear Solid there to play, right? The collection and all of that good stuff. Because I'm a sad boy, I'm a poor guy, bruv. I don't want to buy the collection again, but of course I want to play the new Snake Eater, like the remake. Shout out to the fans that actually put that in motion, because Konami, what are you doing, bro? you know, what are you doing? But anyways, all right, maybe they'll re-release Metal Gear Solid 4 coming up before this game comes out, right? But I don't think they will, to be fair, because they got to deal with so much licensing stuff like iPods and foods and stuff like that in the game, because Kojima is a G, right? Do you know what I mean? Like the game experience. Anyway, so I've followed Metal Gear Solid and Hideo Kojima pretty much solidly as a game player throughout my life, right? So on that trail of being a poor kid, right, and only getting things second hand, because I was in my own little world, just hugging my PlayStation 3, like you saw, like from my teen years all the way up to now, right, I only actually upgraded to a PlayStation 4 in 2019, right? And the only reason I updated to a PlayStation 4 in 2019 was so I could play Death Stranding, right? So that's me following Kojima again, and he's gonna break my heart with what he's about to do, because he's going to release a new action espionage, but it's going to be on the next generation. So it's going to be on a generation probably beyond what PlayStation 5 is, or whatever 6 is, or maybe whatever the Xbox world is doing, right? And I think he's got an exclusive coming on Xbox, right? All these sad things is going to make a sad old man like me upgrade, right? But I'm sticking to my roots. I won't be upgrading to a PlayStation 5 or the newest Xbox or anything like that until it's been out a significant amount of time and I can buy one second hand, right? Because money matters, right? So, old is gold. If you can fix something, fix it, right?
Right, it seems to be okay. It's been running for at least 5 minutes, and by this time, it would have usually kicked up into high speed, and I would have heard a lot of noise at this point, right? So, what I used for this, even though this weren't a normal build, right? Because the type of fan that I have on my PlayStation 3 isn't accessible without going from underneath and like detaching it from the motherboard, so I opted to not do that. Instead, I used one of these, which is an air duster. I used some cotton buds and some alcohol on some like smaller ones, right? And then these are the tools I used. I used a T8 security. It's got a hole in the bottom, you probably can't see. And I used this for one of the little clips underneath the PlayStation. I had to use this every now and again to get screws because I dropped them, right? And then just a typical Phillips, a small one. And then because I broke the CD, right, or the CD drive broke on me, I used a flathead at the bottom to see if I can get the disc out. That didn't work, so I ended up opening up the whole disc drive itself, detaching the top part of the disc drive and taking the CD out, putting it all back together, and now it's back working, right? So that's the end of that build. Well, it's not really a build, but fix, refurb, cleaning, whatever you want to call it. And I've got my PlayStation back to almost as quiet as it used to be, right? So next we've got to do a PS4.
I have no idea how this is going to work out. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to upgrade and get down with the youngsters on the new computers and stuff like that and show what old man kicking ass is like, right? Maybe when I get on Street Fighter, right, I'm going to get up there, right? Actually, saying that, right, recently I did actually get Street Fighter 6 and I realized how terrible I actually am at Street Fighter 6 and what is actually out there in terms of skill levels. I'm just like, oh my god, bro. Let me put my controller down. Let me get a refund. But all jokes aside, right, I will be talking about gaming a bit more in depth because it makes sense to like actually share my personality as a human being and what I enjoy doing as a hobby, and I actually want to be able to share my PlayStation 3 game library with the world through streaming now, because obviously I didn't know how to do all of this stuff, right? But now I kind of figured it out, right? So I don't want to let the past go to waste, and I enjoy playing these games, so I want to play these games with you guys and have you guys enjoy these games too, right? So hopefully by the end of all this babbling I've done, I've managed to restore my PlayStation 3 back to its former glory, right? And it's going to be playable and streamable. If not, we're gonna have to figure something out. All right, but thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to check out our latest videos and the transformative story playlist, maybe right here if I can magic it into the screen. These are the stories you need to see, right? This is the good stuff. All right, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like and share, and don't forget to comment. All right, now I just want to stress this a bit further, right? If you are poor, if you are broke, do not feel bad, right? Because what you lack financially, you can make up with your creativity, right? You can make up with your ingenuity, right? You can do things that other people that might be slightly more distracted by the shiny things won't be able to do, right? And you can still enjoy the things they enjoy just a bit later, right? So, thumbs up, I'll see you later.